Welcome back to another episode of Girls & Co. I'm with the one, the only, the BBD. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Good.
Having a good day. Mindset in a good place.
Good.
We're living.
I love that. I feel like a lot of people know who you are, especially if they've known Jomboy for a while and have been following the company,
Sure.
but no one really knows who you are because you're kind of the puppeteer. You've been the one that is pushing all the buttons and producing and editing and doing all the things that are now blown up to what everybody knows and loves. And so I want to talk about you. And we start off with the same question every single time we interview someone. Who are you?
I don't know, man. I'm me.
What an answer. I'm me. Okay, so I want to start with then an interesting question for me personally. How did BBD come about and when did it come about?
That originates from high school.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've weirdly answered this question a lot. I was with friends of friends this weekend who were asking. I was like, I know I answered this recently to somebody. In high school, David Mendelsohn, first name, last name, not like a common one, but somehow the other guy just has the straight up username everywhere. So I'd been toying around with different like Instagram handles and whatever for a long time, and at some point in high school, it clicked that Glenn Davis was still active, and that's one letter different. And then moreover, I was July birthday, the cutoff in New Jersey, one of the younger kids in the grade. Yep. The facial hair is a very recent development in the grand scheme of things. I looked reminiscent of a large baby. So it made too much sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just like an Instagram username, and then in college, like everybody just called me Big Baby Dave, like all the way through, and that progressed on the internet. And just everyone goes BBD, and that's all good. At one point, someone here didn't, because it was as BBD in the Slack channel too.
Yeah,
that might have predated you and a lot of people here, but somebody didn't know what my name was. I was like, oh. All right. So in our Slack channel, I changed it to my full name there.
That makes sense.
Government name.
Okay. So then going back to college for you, where did you go to college? What did you want to do, study? Like when you were going in freshman year, where was your mind at? I
attended a small liberal arts school outside of Philadelphia called Ursinus College. Tiny school. Okay. Like 1,400 students.
Did you want to go to a small school?
I wouldn't say I specifically wanted to. Like my second choice was University of Delaware.
Okay.
Like I was into schools of any size. My high school was tiny. Like my graduating class was 190. So people who went to like an actual like tiny like rural school will say that's not small, but 190, and we were considered like a huge class for my school.
Okay.
So I went to a small high school, so kind of anything would have felt big.
Right.
And I knew I just didn't want anywhere that like I didn't want anybody from my high school to be at my college. Yeah. Clean start.
You didn't want to hear that. You remember when you did? No, I don't, man. I don't.
Not that I like even had like embarrassing high school stories. Or like it was fine for the most part. Didn't like have friends, so it was.
You just wanted a new
there's
chapter.
Nothing embarrassing. I was like, just don't need anybody there.
Yeah, you wanted a new chapter. It was a new chapter. Yeah.
So and that school, well, Ursinus was the first school I visited. I remember my first visit there, I was like a sophomore in high school, and my mom just like wanted to like start looking at stuff early. We wanted to be kind of ahead in the process. And it was in this book called Colleges That Change Lives, which my mom obviously read, and I'm the oldest boy, so oldest anything.
I love that.
It's featured in Colleges That Change Lives. My mom fell in love, and it was one of like two that were in driving distance.
Okay.
So we visited that. It was the first one I ever went to, and I remember I was like sitting in like an info session, and they were asking like what year people were, and and like somebody was like a junior, and it was like a fall. And they're like, "Oh, so junior, you're getting started very early." And this process, I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm a full year younger than you." I'm like, "Mom, why the fuck am I here?" And then but being the first school I looked at, it kind of was always in the back of my head, and I was like, I compared everywhere I looked after that to that one. Mm-hmm. So my mom really puppeteered that move, I guess, and it was. To answer the original question, I suppose, it was very much known for its pre-med program. Okay. And that's like what the goal was and what I always thought I was going to do.
Really?
Yes. And like growing up, like my dad's a doctor and like his siblings, my mom jokes, especially now that I do this job where like nobody on that side of the family like understands it all. And my mom's side doesn't either, but she's like, well, in your dad's family, like the only 3 jobs that exist are doctor, lawyer, teacher. So they're just not going to get it for a while. No. That's okay.
That's okay. What do you want to do with pre-med? I'm so curious.
I wanted to do kind of the same stuff my dad does. He does like sports related injuries. Okay.
So sports was always some part of the foundation.
Yeah. And I suppose in the back of my mind, like I always had like a dream of doing like sports talk radio type stuff, which I just like didn't realize is like, oh, that's like you like could pursue that if you want.
Yeah, it didn't seem feasible.
I was like, yeah, but like I'm like gonna be a doctor, so that's fine.
It's a good fallback.
I always thought like I weirdly had in the back of my head, like even in high school, I was like, well, yeah, like I'm like not that it's gonna be like my job or anything, but I'm just like I know one day I'm gonna like have a Twitter following for just like sports stuff because like I'm funny and have like good sports points. In hindsight, that should have been like me thinking, oh, like actually pursue that. But
I think it's a newer thing, though. You gotta give yourself credit in the fact it's a newer thing of like being able to do social media. No, it didn't. And a lot of these jobs still don't exist, and I think it's just now becoming a normal thing of, hey, you can pursue social media.
Yes, and like the dream would have been, and when I like first like changed majors because like. Spoiler alert, the science classes in college are way harder. So I went from like in high school, like I'd get an A- without like thinking. Right. And like if I got a B+, like my parents knew that was from a lack of effort. Not that I didn't do homework. I did homework, but it'd be I just like if I got a B+, they were like, come on. Yeah. So I went from those kind of expectations on grades to like grinding to get like a B- in these science classes.
No joke.
And I'm like, this sucks and I have no fun doing it. I like failed the first 2 anatomy tests of my sophomore year of college and I was like, fuck this. I'm like, let's just go like pursue a degree in journalism and figure this out. Like I've always that's when I realized like in the back of my head I always like wanted to do that and think I'd be good at it. So at the time that dream would have been like be a sports talk radio guy and you grow up in New York and it's obviously like a kind of a pivotal part of growing up. The first like podcasts I ever listened to were just like on the ESPN app when like they just play like the morning show. Yeah. So I fell in love with Robin Lundberg, who like my dad would listen to on the way in, and then it would be out on the podcast app by the time I like would walk to school. Mm-hmm. So like that was also a way my dad and I would like bond in high school. So we both listened to that show in the morning and talked about it later. So that was like I really respect the art of sports talk radio. Mm-hmm. Obviously not like what I do is different from it, but and the goals change and I like what I do more than I think I ever would have liked that. But that was like what the goal was.
Crazy.
And then so our science is very much known for its pre-med program. So and all of that. Like I was an EMT in high school. Like I always thought like, oh, I'm gonna do a job that like even if it doesn't turn out to be a doctor, like maybe I'd gravitate towards nursing or like a PA or something. Like I knew I wanted to do something important and that would help people, which every now and then I'm like, I kind of didn't do that, but
you still help people. Like, it's just a different way, right?
It's different.
So that was your freshman year, correct?
Yeah, sophomore year I changed and decided to fully pursue.
What what was the reaction from the people in your life when you told them that you were making that change? Because that, I mean, from the outside looking in, and if you don't necessarily know what's going on in your head at the moment, right? Because we're 19, 20 at that time. Like, I can imagine the people, your family, friends, whatever it may be, were kind of like, that's a big shift.
Yeah. And like they, I didn't either like know what the world would become. I sort of knew, and this like came from my mom really, but she's like, she had said like the job you are gonna have probably doesn't exist yet, and that turned out pretty true.
She was right.
She was fairly spot on. Like I guess producing like existed, but
not
like podcasts as an industry.
Yeah,
wasn't fully like a thing yet when I was starting down the path.
Right. It's definitely uneasy, I'm sure.
Yeah, my dad was just like confused what I was like gonna do with that. He didn't think like there was gonna be any chance to like really make money, which like not obviously money's important and like you need it, but that wasn't like my sole motivator in the shift, obviously.
Most people in this field it's not.
She's like, yeah, you're like, I don't know how you're gonna ever make like substantial money if you don't like write a couple books. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to write a book.
Right.
But I know baseball and the Yankees, and actually at the time I was probably an even bigger basketball guy at the time of the shift, because that would have been after the 2016. Like the Yankees were not good, so I was
so
like,
you had other
I was known as
sports,
like the basketball friend, like in
which
college.
You've still maintained that here. I would definitely say so.
Yeah, I feel like I've lost some ball knowledge there a little bit, or like I have a harder time just like popping on any NBA game
and then knowing
having like a good time.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's definitely hard. I would agree with that. So you always love sports. You change your major your sophomore year. You're like sports talk radio, something in this field.
Yeah.
You love baseball. You love basketball. You loved all sports. You knew you could talk about them, and you knew that you had that solid foundation. So at what point does Jomboy Media come into the picture, and how does that come about?
Yeah, there's a few things there. Well, so one of the benefits of the school I went to, Ursinus, was, while not known for its communications program, it meant that like just being somebody vaguely overachieving in that department, like I had infinite opportunities to do like whatever I wanted. So I got like experience. I was, without having written for the newspaper previously, because I like agreed to do it, I became the sports editor for the last like 2 years, and
that's how I became an executive producer of a show too.
Yeah, I was like broadcasting games because I was one of like 3 people interested.
Yep.
And so I was like, all right, some of us do this. I was instantly able to like become like a lead statistician at like every sport.
Yeah,
I've watched a lot of Division III field hockey. A lot.
You know your shit now.
Ursinus is like a prestigious field hockey school. The Field Hockey Hall of Fame is on campus.
Love that.
So between those experiences, I had a little bit of a foundation there. The summer between junior and senior year,
which would have been 17, 18?
2000, that would have been the 2018 season.
Okay.
So 2017 would have been the first year I started like using Twitter and like trying to sort of put like stuff and takes out there. No following or anything, but I was just like using it. That was when this was all starting up. So I'd be like in Jimmy's Periscopes, and I was active in those chats. So I was on the radar there during that playoff run in 17.
Okay.
Jimmy was live for several innings at a time, and I was just in Pennsylvania. Nobody that I was friends with like cared about baseball, and definitely weren't like Yankee fans if they did.
Right.
Phillies were terrible. So like now I have laughs during these Phillies runs where it's like all these people, like, turns out they like baseball and the Phillies are good.
And it's like,
we could
okay,
have talked about that.
Yeah, we were where were you at a few years ago?
But so that was like who I watched those playoffs with. Like, they were kind of like, my friend would sit with me in the common room.
Yeah.
But
they were the voices you were like tuning into a lot during that.
Yes. So that was, so through that's how like Jimmy and I got like connected, because he just like recognized my name and face in those chats a ton. And so that summer of 2018, then
Okay.
I had an unpaid internship to like write for this awful website that just doesn't exist anymore. It was unpaid, but it was a chance to like write about pro sports and like work on a craft I didn't really have I hadn't worked on yet. Like I hadn't started. I guess I had just done a year of working on the newspaper.
It was one of those resume builders. They tell you it's good for experience.
It's like you don't need those. But I like didn't do any journalism in high school or anything. So it's like literally just having a reason to write and blog probably like is good. And I was able to couple that unpaid internship with a job in my campus safety office, which I had during the year too. I liked that job because it was one where you could do homework and was doing more of that.
Yeah.
Where they had like 10 of us stay over the summer and we had our housing covered. So I got to like
nice.
move into the dorm I was going to live in senior year.
Nice.
Summer early. And my roommate was also working there over the summer. So we were just like,
it just made
normal.
sense.
It was, that was like a good arrangement. I made like a little money. I made $5,000 that summer, I think, which was like, that's more money than I can imagine.
Exactly.
So, okay. So I between those two, it was kind of one reasonable internship.
Yeah.
And then, so I was like getting reps. I did so much like actual Yankees coverage that summer, just writing blogs that like for sure just my mom and dad were reading, the occasional one of their friends if they like saw it when I'd post to Facebook.
Yeah.
Which like cool. I had to like maintain my radio show over the summer because it was like something to do.
Might as well.
I went every night at 6, I think, just because like nobody else was there. I had free reign to do whatever I wanted at the radio station. Like could literally do whatever I wanted. It was awesome. So through all that, we haven't even gotten to like the long story yet, I guess. The Yankees had a 3-game set in Philadelphia, June 24th through 26th of 2018. I know the dates because it was over the summer, and June 26th is Derek Jeter's birthday.
Just makes sense.
And I was like, well, I'm there, so I'll go to all 3 games of that series. I won't really see the Yankees much this year if I go home like once. Don't know if I'll go to a game.
Yeah.
So I went to those 3 games. The middle game of those 3, Jimmy and his family like all did. They did like a full family outing, like him, his parents, his cousins.
Okay.
They like all made the trip out to Philadelphia because they were like down the shore, so it was an hour and a half drive or whatever
it was
from his beach house there. And we'd been friendly for a while, so at some point, one of us tweeted something about it and replied to the other like, "Let's meet up." And then, so that was the first day I like met Jimmy. We like watched batting practice together. I remember at some point we were just like hanging over we were in the first row in right field. Chad Green's like shagging flies. At one point, Jimmy like got his attention, but then like didn't know what to do with it, and he's just like, "Sup?" And Chad was like, "Sup?" Because like at the time, Jimmy had like 2,000 followers.
Yeah, I was about
maybe.
to.
Like, he had just gotten like some following. I guess he was doing it full time, so maybe it was more than that. So then like that day, we were talking about. So that day he like met me and we just did normal.
Hey, hi, what's
talking,
up? Yeah.
Meeting. Probably one of his first times like spending time with like a fan who like really wanted to meet up.
Yeah.
And then about 2 months later, in August of that year, my family was doing like a down the Jersey Shore vacation. Happened to be the town next to Jimmy's like parents' beach house town where he was like living and operating out of. So at some point during that, at some point DMs got exchanged. I think initiated by Jimmy but I tweeted at him. I don't know. I'm not a big DMer.
Yeah.
So I like tweeted it, just at him, like, want to hang out.
Yeah.
I'm here. And then he DM'd me like giving me his address.
Like a wild dream.
Come watch Sunday Night Baseball with me.
Yeah, why not?
It's like, all right, so that's, looking back now, nobody's starting that way anymore.
No.
and I'd like just turned 21. Like I'm going over to their place. Jimmy and Katie, very very nice, obviously, but like I said, this is all new, so I looked extra young.
Yeah, and you're probably nervous.
I was so nervous.
Yeah,
I'm a really shy person anyway. Like I don't talk.
Yeah.
If I'm not at this job.
Yeah.
Everyone here like doesn't realize that, I don't think, but it's like I like all of you.
It's different.
So
out there, don't like them. Here, we're good.
Yeah. It's like I'll talk to anybody here. But they like didn't like, were you like allowed to offer you like a seltzer or whatever?
I feel like I remember Katie being like, I remember the first time I ever met BBD. He was so quiet and nervous and like didn't even like want to ask for water.
and they had their dog Zimmer at the time, and I'm like, I don't dislike dogs. I'm gonna make that very clear. But like I'm very nervous around any animal basically. Yeah. Like any dog, probably like the third time I meet them, it's like, all right,
we're cool.
We're comfortable. We have a good rapport now.
Yeah.
It's like Noodle and I, great relationship.
Good
love.
Now.
Yeah. But it took a few times, and he's a big dog.
Yeah. So you had
like
like
a dog
all
walking around, like guy I want to impress, and like so we were talking about that. So we were watching the Sunday night baseball game, Yankees Red Sox. Yankees go on to that game completes a 4-game sweep by the Red Sox. Miguel Andujar throws the ball away to end the game.
Remember it vividly.
It was an awful game for the Yankees. Ended their chances at winning the division, all that. But we were just talking about like this internship I was doing, experience I have.
Yeah.
Mentioning like I just want to like help out however I can.
So you like pitched yourself basically.
A little bit.
Like hey, I can do these things. I'll help.
Subtly. At the time, the website talkingyanks.com had like a blogging feature. So I was like, yeah, I'd like to write for the website. This internship ends in a week. So I literally, if nothing else, wanted a place to write about the Yankees that maybe somebody would see it.
Yeah. You're doing it
writing
already.
is like the skill set I had.
Yeah.
I was like
and
a
you were
good
doing
writer.
It. Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah. And like, that was going to be like 2 weeks later. So we were like talking about that. Eventually, like we hit the ball. What? We get the ball rolling there. I started, there's me and a few other guys like blogging, and we were in like a group chat that was fun.
Just like
none
talking,
of those guys
like,
are like here
just
anymore,
like
but
talking Yankees. Like you were just like
it was just like a fun
up.
Yankees group me we had going basically.
Nice,
like a few is group me still going?
I don't know. That's a good question. Probably.
The app still exists. I think it's on my phone, but
don't use it.
Okay.
So you started as a blogger here.
Yes, my first blog was like August 21st, 2018.
Do you have that printed? You should print it and frame it. That's cool.
It's well, I think everything's kind of gone. We could probably find it somewhere.
Probably on one of those clouds.
Somebody's got a back end.
Someone's got something somewhere. Okay, so
I know what I wrote about. I think it was a Greg Bird article.
Nice, nice.
I was into that, and from there was I proved myself being like one of the more dedicated people to like, because I was in college and I had nothing else to do. So
right.
While I was in my Latin class, I minored in Latin, by the way.
Well,
which I like bringing up because it's funny.
It is actually very funny.
The secret there is I just had to get to the same point I got to in high school because I took it in middle and high school.
Yeah.
I just had to match that again to get the minor and take like one weird like other class.
Yeah.
And I took the Hebrew Bible. Just like
that's nice.
Jewish, I'll get an A. I got a C.
That's fine.
But
it's fine.
Last semester, senior year, didn't care. Then, so through establishing through there, I was like dedicated. At some point, so we're down the stretch of what would have been my like fall semester that year.
Okay.
So winter meetings in Las Vegas is coming up. Jimmy and I are just like talking, and like I had been to winter meetings once before in 2018. So he was like, oh, so you like kind of know your way around there better than we do. It was gonna be their first time. I guess that was the 2018 winter meetings. Doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, if you can like fly yourself out, like you can crash in mine and Jake's room.
Had you met Jake at this point?
This is the first time I met Jake.
Okay.
We'd been in that group chat.
So you'd met him via text, but not.
We met him like via text, and he took a really long time to follow me on Twitter. It's like I was like not certain he liked me at all. And then a touchdown in Vegas. I 21 within the last 5 months or whatever my birthday was. So my first time in Las Vegas, first time I'm meeting Jake, I'm gonna like be in a hotel room with those two guys.
And you're like, okay, fine.
Like, just like I am way younger than them.
Yeah, it's like let's see what happens. Yeah.
I remember like when I landed, because they like went to the bar to like try to mingle and talk to people, and I remember Jimmy like texted me a video of them like where they hid the spare key in the hallway. It was like under some just like lounge chair on like that floor's thing. I'm like, okay. So then I went and got it, put my stuff in the room, and like had to go navigate. Like if anyone knows, like the Vegas hotels like are all kind of connected to each other. So I'm like, I think they're in like a different hotel.
So you just had to like figure it out.
Make my way there through some back channels and underground in there, and it's crazy. And then eventually like link up, we hang out. In hindsight, that's also the first time I met Sam. I think she met them the same night. At that Vegas
so that was
meetings.
all the same. Yeah, you met Sam
Sarah.
and Sarah. Yeah,
and then
which like
I was. I don't remember it.
Right. There's
I
so
know,
much
I know
going
that
on.
it happened. And like in hindsight, I vaguely recall like
it's like
they said hi.
We did speak, didn't we?
And I think they were probably also nervous because
Yeah.
Jimmy was like I was with Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's first time I meet Jake and we're sharing a hotel room, and
That sounds about right.
he is Jake, so it
sounds
like,
about right.
I want to try to match what he's putting out, but also like first time I'm meeting somebody and
it's like
really shy.
Yeah. Very much torn, that's for sure. Okay, so that's 2018. I'm assuming from there that, I mean, and I think everyone's probably heard after that, then it's kind of like you took on more and more responsibilities with the shirts and the producing and podcasts. And
Jimmy like taught me to video edit.
Right.
So I started doing what I now it'd be fire TikToks, but just like I edited a bunch of Instagram videos. We did like a silly stats video of the day, which every year I say like I'm gonna bring those back because I was really good at them. Yeah, and I don't. But maybe this is the year.
Maybe 2024 is the year. Maybe that's when you do it. So at what point? Because this entire time you're just enjoying it and you're along for the ride, fresh out of college.
Need the money.
Yeah, you're just kind of vibing, living your best life. At what point did you zoom out and think, oh, this company's a real thing? It's getting, like, when was that aha moment for you?
It feels like easy to say now because it did work out, but I kind of just like always thought like, I'm really gonna do this forever. I thought I might have to do other stuff for a while before I could go full time, but I was like, I knew at minimum like us three would be doing stuff. Yeah. I didn't know how like businesses work or what other like roles we were gonna need. I remember at one point my mom was like, "You should like go get an MBA and you can like help on the business end of things too." And I'm like, it's a lot. Well, let's see if we need that. But so I pretty early thought like this is gonna be something. Yeah. Like I fully believed from like before day one. I was like, this is gonna be my full-time job at some point. I thought around the age I am now might be when
it would happen.
I thought it'd be like an awesome, like amazing feeling of achievement just to be able to go full time. Yeah. So, which it was when it happened, but it just was so much earlier.
It was a lot earlier than you ever expected, but you always knew.
Yeah, I always felt like I knew. But graduated college, I was making $1 for every shirt we sold on the website, which was enough that like I didn't need some I didn't need some like retail job while I was looking for full-time employment. I eventually get a job at Franklin and Marshall College doing more of like the athletic communications stuff that I was doing as a student worker at Ursinus, and did that for like 7 months over that period. So 2019, Astro story comes out. The company, and obviously the summer before Savages in the Box happens and all that. Like we were making headway. I was feeling more confident that yes, someday I will be good to do this. I at that point my timeline was shifting to like maybe I'm only like 2 years away from being able to go full time.
Yeah.
Then the Astro stuff happens, and obviously now Jimmy's being interviewed on every show in the world. I'm like listening to everything. I'm like clipping stuff to put on at Talking Yanks to just like help out still and be like, oh, maybe if like you're ready for someone to go full time, like I could do it. Like I'm ready. I'm
available.
A reminder, I'm here.
Yeah.
And eventually Jimmy and I finally like get on like a phone call, and he is like, hey, we're starting to like build out the team. We think there's going to be, at that point, a couple more people started going full time. It's like full time. I think I was employee 6 or something, or 10, but like I'd been there a while, like I was there long enough. So there's a part of me that while I was freaking out at a job I hated, didn't hate, but I was like not what I wanted.
It wasn't
to do.
it. Yeah.
I was like, other people are starting full time. Why haven't they offered me yet?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Eventually he's like, yeah, we're building out this team. We want you like with us full time. We don't really know exactly what the job is, but we just kind of know we want you there. So my like official first title was Shadow. There was like, yeah, we don't know what this is gonna be exactly,
but
there's probably gonna be some amounts of it that are like being a sort of like a EA. Some of it that'll be some editing. Some of it'll be what turned out to be producing.
Yeah,
just like whatever tasks we needed at that point. There was 6 of us total, whatever the number is. That it's like everybody did some of everything,
right?
But
Shadow, it's your first job.
They were like, yeah, this is we just know like we interview Aaron Judge. We want you in the room.
Okay.
It's like, okay, awesome.
And I mean, I'd say Shadow to where you're at now is a pretty good transition. I am curious because I think that a lot of people always talk about like how awesome this job is and how great it is, which it is, and the environment's great and it's so fun. And we as a company talk about it as well. But like at the end of the day, it is a business. So I guess in my next question for you is more so, what's been the hardest thing for you in this role? Because, I mean, you wear a lot of hats. You still wear a lot of hats. I mean, you and Jake are the two that are here every single night for streaming. Like, you're the one that's, doing all of the bigger podcasts. And there is a lot of pressure. And I know that doesn't affect you because you've done it for so long and you do it well. But what's been the hardest thing for you?
There's, with any sort of like expansion, like there were times of like just figuring out what new people do and new processes we needed, like the way we were. I'm so grateful that we have the system in place to like run our ads that we do, because for a while that was like it was like a mess. It was just like,
right.
It'd be like, it used to be Luke would Slack me like, hey, can one of the episodes this week you make sure we do like DraftKings, and like later we could be like, can you Slack me like what time that happened? So like adding like the like interfaces we use now and like the processes there has made it so easy to do that part of my job. That, like I can show anybody like, all right, this is how I manage our shows that do like 3 to 4 ads an episode.
Right.
So that's been part of the role, is like teaching other people how to use that website for that purpose and whatever else. So I don't know. There's a lot of like growing pains, like the company as a whole, that I think just applied to me. There's this times of like you feel like not to be like a sad sack, but like there's times when it's like, do do I like not matter anymore?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
that's kind of what I was going to add. I mean, I'm sure because you were like one of the first few people and you were wearing so many different hats and you were doing so many different jobs. I can imagine that when someone is hired to take one of those jobs off your plate, you're like, but does that decrease my value?
Yeah, there's obviously some relief to it, like there's stuff.
Right. It's like a bittersweet thing,
like
right?
Doing.
Yeah.
It's like it's great to not have to help with every JJTV video that we do now. It used to just be like Zach and I, if we did a video, Zach and I are setting it up and all that. We used to be like the tech crew, which was crazy.
That is crazy to think about.
I don't know how any of it works. I can plug stuff in. You show me how to do this. I can set it up again.
Yeah, you can figure it out. But no,
so like a lot of things
that.
I'm happy to have off the plate and all that, and we have, and I love everybody here, and they're all great at what they do. So there's elements of like, oh, am I not the go-to guy for stuff anymore? And the times of mentioned, like they've gone out of their way several times to make it clear to me. It's like, no, it's like you're good at this. Like you're good. We have like no problem with what you're doing.
But I think it's human nature to feel that.
Yeah.
In those processes, I think it's just normal.
Yeah, and I know a lot of it is like what I do with like Talking Yanks, Talking Baseball specifically. It's like a lot of the processes I've helped put in place is like it's so they don't even have to like really ask about the show. They can more or less sit down and do it. Like Jake and I brainstorm ideas for an episode here and there, but for the most part, like during the season, the episodes write themselves, and then a big part of my job is figuring out like what topics we're gonna do in the off season. And because like the job is to make it so we don't have a conversation about it, I'm like, we haven't like had a conversation in forever.
Yeah.
Like,
should we talk?
Like,
should we talk?
It's just like, I guess that's just like the weird growing pains. It's like, and it logically I understand it is like I've been doing a good job, and it's like there's nothing to talk about. But every now I'm like, do I matter?
No, I think that's normal, and I also think in your position and we've talked about this off air before. I think that your position is so interesting because you weren't hired as a creator or a personality, but you do have, you do play a part in that role. You are a personality, a part of Jomboy Media. And so I think in that gray area that you've managed to create a really good balance of both and thrive in both of those. But I guess my question for you then is, where do you want to take that?
It's a good question. Like in general, I like to like do more in like the creator end of things.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest place to like add to my workload, I'd say. 'Cause I can like, I can do the time it takes to make something, rather than, all the back and all the setup, all the takedown. I'd like to do some more of those types of things.
And I think that's normal.
But, I don't know. Like we're also in like the whole company has been in like a weird state as far as like goal setting, where it's like nothing we've done. If I like set that goal for 5 years from now, which I just like hit 5 years here, like
it's crazy.
There's like I would have never dreamed of half of this stuff. Like, I mean, if I set that as a 5-year goal 5 years ago, it would have been crazy. Like, we talked about being on Yes Network as like a 10 years from now type of deal.
And you've
we've
done
been doing that for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I was so young when our mindset of like, we don't really believe in setting goals like instilled, it's sort of applied in real life and like gotten me in trouble with people who take that the wrong way and take that as being like an unmotivated person. I'm like, well, I'm very motivated. I just don't necessarily know what to do with as far when you like set a goal. Like I just gonna like do stuff and hope things grow and do well and
our field changes. Fun. It changes all the time. I'm the exact same way, and people tell me all the time. They're like, so does that mean that you like aren't like pushing towards something? It's like, no, you're always pushing towards something, but why am I gonna set specific goals that could like shield me from seeing other opportunities?
Yeah, like stuff just opens up
right
all the time. about, and then the options that like I probably would have set as like a goal, like end up getting tossed your way along the way a little bit. Like if you're doing everything right, and obviously luck and all of that.
Right.
But I don't know. Like I ended up in a weird headspace with like setting goals just as like a person.
And I think that's okay. I think that's very normal for a person. Like the position you're in is so unique, and I think it's hard to set goals without, like, you don't want to set goals and it feel like it's out of your reach, because then that's going to affect your daily life. But you also don't want to set goals to shut off other things. Like, you don't want to set goals to, only be a personality and on camera, and that shut doors of like really big producing opportunities, or vice versa.
Yeah. I like
you like both.
Everything.
Yeah.
I do for the most part. And it's like setting a long-term goal. I understand why it's great for a lot of people. For me, I'm like, it doesn't change what I have to do today.
Right.
Like, today's tasks are today's tasks for the most part, and I know we're building towards things. And like, I have goals in like the mid-range. Like I knew I wanted 100K on Talking Baseball by end of the regular season, when it seemed by the end of the playoffs rather, when it seemed in reach. Mm-hmm. Like, because we started the year at 6. I don't know where we started, so I won't toss numbers around.
But no, I think that's something that is also really hard to do, especially in our business, because it does move so fast. So it's hard to remember all of the things that you've wanted to accomplish that you surpass so quickly.
Yeah, and a lot of things might be like just like an idea for an episode I really like, and it's like, but yeah, we're gonna do it next week.
Yeah,
so checked off. like today, a big task. Like the Talking Yanks episode we're gonna record Friday. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to make the layout for it. It'll be over Friday.
Right.
Or Tuesday when it comes out, whatever. But
no, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you have to be so careful in this day and age saying I don't have goals, but I completely understand.
Yeah, I need to come up with like if I need to come up with an answer to that.
No, I say it all the time. People are like, "What's your 5-year plan?" And I'm like, "I don't have one." They're like,
"No."
That was my go-to line with job interviews and everything, because I'm like, why am I gonna? I used to have a 5-year plan. I used to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, because you're type A like me. You like control and doing things yourself because you know you're capable of doing it.
Yeah, things I know I can do, I'd rather just do.
Just do it yourself. But like when I had that plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan A, plan B, plan C blew up in my face, I realized real quick, I was like, okay.
You need to be married to these things.
Yeah, you can't be. And I think your validation for that is warranted. But I guess my last question then for you is, what is next? Or where do you see yourself maybe the happiest and bringing in joy for yourself and pursuing the tip top of whatever your career may be? Maybe it's not specific, maybe it's not numbers, maybe it's just a feeling. But what is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of interesting ways to think about it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like I will want to do, things can change but I don't see a world where like I ever don't want to do Talking Yanks, Talking Baseball. Those are like, I guess they aren't my literal babies. I wasn't there from like the birth of them.
They're your babies.
I was the father that stepped up.
Yeah.
And like I will love those things forever, and they take up most of my time. Wake and Jake thrown in there too, and then
they're the ones that started
the
your career.
amounts of, depending on what sport we're doing, like warehouse stuff, and certain times a year we're doing live streams and all that. So it's all good, but you always more on camera type stuff, or more competing in the warehouse, or things that like are on the radar that would like to do next year.
Yeah,
there's, I guess I don't know what I can say, and there's opportunities I believe I'll be having.
Yes, that's a good
specifically way of on the Yankees end of things that I'm very excited about.
And you should be.
That will be replacing the pregame show. I can say that to people, but I think people have gotten to see some of that on the pregame show end of things.
Yeah.
But the idea we have is it'll be a welcome replacement for the pregame show, I think.
Do you think,
I'm excited for that.
Do you think there's something that next year maybe that you want to challenge you that you can accomplish? Is maybe a good way of thinking about it. What's something that's going to make you uncomfortable that you're looking forward to accomplishing?
The thing I'm sort of alluding to.
The opportunity.
I would love for that to be, I don't know what the number would have to be, but like I'd love for that to be a successful thing. Like people are fans of that in its own right, and it's not going to be considered like a B team type program.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of a hint for people, but who are like in the community, who are in. I use some words there, but there's an opportunity that's available for you that does have potential of both failure and success, and that is a challenge. There's a chance we walk away from the year saying like, all right, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
And there's a chance that you walk away from it thinking, okay, I finally proved myself. And do you think that there is a sense of that, of like you wanting to prove yourself in other avenues?
Yeah.
I think that's normal.
Like it'll be different.
But in a good way.
It's an opportunity. I guess circling back bigger picture, that thing, as well as just in general stuff I'd like to do more is like more mixing and matching with other people here. I feel like I have good rapport with a lot of people here. Like specifically, like I think Jolly and I do a lot really well together that I'd like to do more.
I would agree.
Don't know what exactly that looks like. At the time of recording, I literally just texted Justin Pennick, like, I have an idea that I think you and I might like.
Yeah.
That we could do that. If I'm being realistic, that idea is probably nothing. But
you don't know that.
But it would be at least a funny day.
Yeah.
It can open the door to more stuff. Joe's and I have gotten into a good place. Canobio on the pregame show, he and I had so much fun. Rourke is awesome, and he and I, every conversation we have is electric.
It's enjoyable.
He can get you into such an awesome mind. Like, I love that guy. He's one of the people that I don't know if you experience. He's one of the people that I get asked about.
Yes.
Perhaps more than anybody else here.
Yes.
And he's like, normal. It's like, no. In the most beautiful way.
In the best way possible. He's such a joy and a pure human.
He's one of my favorite people in the entire world.
Yes.
Specifically existing in like the Yankees space on
How could you not
on the
love
internet.
Him?
Like I get asked about him pretty often. I have nothing but good things to say about that guy.
I think that's
great.
good.
So I'd like to do more with him too. Like mixing and matching with other people is something that's like a big picture goal. Like
I think that's a great one.
Working with the other people. Obviously, Jimmy, Jake, and I have our routines and
you
stuff.
You have
and
those
works,
boxes checked.
I love that more than anything in the world.
That's the foundation.
That's like what we've built here is supposed to be the opportunity to mix and match and do stuff with other people.
Yeah.
Even do like more, not necessarily baseball stuff. I've been mixing it in with the football trivias lately that I don't think have started like trickling out yet, but I'm like, oh, okay, I actually do like football and like know it. I'm starting to believe in myself more. Dalton said I did a good job in one of the videos, so that was important. It was important for me to feel like I was demonstrating good ball knowledge there.
I think that's good. You're flexing muscles that you haven't flexed in a while, and it's hard, I think, when you're in such a good routine that is proven to be successful to be like, why am I going to put yourself in positions where you could fail?
Like
but
picking the spots is important.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have the bandwidth to do it. And the off season is a great opportunity for
Why
that.
not? What's the worst that could happen?
Like, I suppose specifically, the more I'm thinking about it, another thing, like more like literally not sports stuff. Like, I think I'm reasonably confident in my ability to talk about things that are just like normal
not
life.
sports. Yeah.
Like JJR has a lot of elements of that are repurposed across other parts of the company.
Right.
Great. People can still get their fix there. I'm not specifically involved in like any of them, so I'd like
Why not?
some avenue to do.
Why not?
My like just straight up sillier end of the spectrum, because I've got that button. People know that I don't have like a regular place to dump that. We're like the drafts every week. I liked doing something like that.
You also
having like a full no baseball activity, like just something else to think about.
You've also got some like fire social media series that you do along with the bridge photos. Iconic.
The bridge is. I feel bad because people think I like bridges. It's just kind of
big bridge guy here.
It's just it's the park near my apartment. Like, go drink coffee there.
Look, I think it's very apparent that I think over the past 6 months, I can at least say for me, I have seen you push yourself to be a little bit more outside of your shell and outside of your normal routine and normal, these are the people I, normally talk to. These are things I normally do. Like, I see you trying to branch out and grow and make yourself uncomfortable. And I think that says a lot about you. And I think that you should be proud of that, because that alone takes a lot to just want to do. And so actually doing it and knowing that you can be better at this or do this more, whatever it may be, like, incredible self-awareness. And I don't see you failing in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know. There's things you feel better about or worse about than like I know
you're human.
When we started like expanding it, I knew I really, really wanted to make sure I make like everybody feel as welcome as possible and like talk to everybody. And like that's like a interpersonal, like full behind the scenes thing. Like I just want to be like better at it. And I think I've done okay. I've been terrified of being in a position where like if this company became like fully like cliquey.
Oh.
And I'm like, and if I was part of the problem with that.
Right.
And that was like, like Jamie and I had a full conversation about that before we started like our full expansion. Like he implored that onto me. Like people will look to you as one of the leaders here, which you are, but like try to make sure you're like not. I don't have to be friends with everybody, but like be a welcome face to people. So I'm trying to, especially soon here as the schedule opens up a little more, I want to try to go out and make sure I talk to everybody, a couple times a week, a little bit.
Yeah.
Be a little bit more of a pot stirrer as far as just like make everybody feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like important to me that I can like be part of keeping things cohesive on like a literally just making sure everybody likes each other.
Yeah.
Level, which maybe that's an unrealistic goal.
No, I don't necessarily think that, but I think, I can relate to that in a big way. I have, without a doubt, have a resting bitch face. So half the time people think I hate them, and I'm like, I don't hate you. I actually am so welcoming, and I want to talk to you, and I want to be friends. I promise. I just don't smile all the time.
Yeah, and maybe that's me like trying to correct like my behavior as a child, where like I wouldn't talk to people.
Yeah.
So I try really hard around here, where I am pretty comfortable with everybody. Like, let's hit all our buttons a little bit. And
yes,
feel better. I want to be able to feel comfortable asking anybody anything. If like I literally like if I need them for a work task.
That's it.
It's not like the first time we've talked.
Right. Then it's awkward. Yeah. It'd be more uncomfortable if people saw us smiling in the office all the time, just like,
yeah.
They'd be like, what the hell's wrong?
Like always being
like, are they okay?
Like I want to be normal about it.
Right. You don't want to be like, hello, sunshine. Like that's.
I'm never gonna be that. Like I'm never like.
No, that's not you.
I'm not a cheery person.
No.
But
I'll be like, good job.
Yeah.
I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
I like knowing people here and being able to talk to them. Yeah. Like when we do a party, like I can talk to all the people. I get excited to meet everyone's significant others.
I know, that's always the fun part.
All of that. And,
it is always the fun part.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I got on tangent there as far as just other things I want to make sure are boxes I check.
But I think I think those are more valuable goals than X amount of numbers on YouTube or whatever it may be, because at the end of the day, if you have a solid foundation as a human being, I think you'll be okay in life.
There's only so much I can do as far as like how much is the show growing? Like how much money are we making? I can make sure the ad happens. I can make sure we're good at that, and people are happy to work with us, and people like what the content of the episode is. Sure, I can't affect. I can only affect so much if they're gonna like hit the subscribe button or watch through that ad or act on whatever product we're selling. But I can make more people here happy.
You can control you.
I would hate to find out that like I was like the problem for somebody here and like was part of like making their days worse regularly. I'm sure the occasional time I've needed somebody to do a task and
we've all had those days,
I accidentally like dumped that on somebody when they were already busy, or like I fucked something up and now
but that's human
they have
nature.
More work to do. But like it's important to me that I'm like not anyone's problem. Like I want to be good to everybody, which maybe is a naive way to move about the world.
No,
but that's
I think it's a pure way to move about the world.
Myself.
I think the second that you think that, the second you lose hope in everyone else, and the second you lose hope in you, then it's that's when you've messed up the biggest. And I think that you're doing a great job at it. I think you're doing a good job, and I think that I'm excited to see what 2024 brings for you, because I do think that there's going to be some cool doors that open for you and opportunities, and I think you're going to be uncomfortable in the best way possible, and I'm excited to watch it.
I'll be like a real age next year. That stinks.
It's fine. I'll be 30.
I'll be 26 and 27 that whole year, which like is a young person, but that's a real age.
27 was my favorite year.
A real one. It's a great age to be.
It's that middle ground of like
real age.
I can still make mistakes because I'm not a full adult.
Yeah, you're not
but
old.
I'm getting closer to 30, so I'm gonna tell myself I'm more mature.
Yeah.
I think you'll be good. But I don't have any more questions. You got anything else?
I don't know. I gotta be like a man of the city a little more. Just in general. I don't like do stuff or take advantage of that I live in the city.
I don't either.
I'm like,
I need to do it more. We should start saying yes to things.
I try to say yes anytime anyone invites me to do something, but I'm so bad at planning things, and like
Same.
I like am the guy that's busy, which I feel terrible about.
There's nothing worse than when you like want to be invited and you tell people, please invite me, and then they invite you and you're like, I'm busy.
Like month of October, I can't, man. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Or like
the amount of times I've said sorry in the month of October.
Like early in the football season, the guys want to get together. I'm like, the first like 6 weeks, baseball's still happening. I'm gonna be like
November
recapping the Yankees.
I'm open in November.
A few people were like, "Oh, when are you going to the Giants tailgate for talking Giants?" I'm like, which doesn't count. That would be a work event for me. But I'm like, I will go in November sometime. December, which I guess is coming.
Probably pick that, huh?
It's time to start sowing what I've reaped.
Yeah.
But
hey,
I don't know.
Leading into 2024, all about being the best version of us. I mean, why not? Let's make that our motto, right? Well, yeah. I appreciate you coming on. This was a great conversation. I'm really excited for people to hear it.
Me too.
Very excited.
I love the people.
Well, that's all we got on this Girls & Co. episode. We'll see you next time. Bye.